I'm not sure how far you are at the moment with your web page, but hopefully after this short webinar, you will have a clearer picture what to focus on and what could be the potential, strategy for your own company, and what really brings out the true nature of your business idea, your service, or the product. So let's start. Yep, I said that my name is Ottomar. You already heard about Dennis as well. So, and we will be helping you out along this road during this week. So if you have any questions, please ping us. But for today's menu, we offer three things. We will quickly go over the introductory part of what could be the potential starting point for you to go along with your website. From there on, we will get a little bit more technical. We will talk about the components of a website. And finally, last not but least, we will kind of go over the conclusions, and you will have the chance to ask all of the questions you have in your head, and something that we might help you out with, or we might help you out with, basically. So guys, let's start. I know that Argo probably asked you the same question in his presentation, because I saw it earlier. But what I've really seen in the market today is that in a lot of cases, some companies don't even need a website. And why it can be that? Well, pretty simple. If your business model doesn't require you to actually work with your clients through website, then it just doesn't make sense to have one. So when you are developing your own business models, really think through, like, what could be the essence, what could be the this kind of real core need to build a website. It can be really simple things. It can be emotional stuff. Say that you want to have a website because you just feel like that we have to have a website, Jesus Christ, and that's okay. That's okay, and that's an okay answer, right? On the other hand, if you need a website that generates leads for you, again, same story. It's a business purpose that you want to cover, or it can be pretty basic. You are just sharing out information about your business model, your team, your ideas, your vision, your concept, whatever it may be. It's just an information sharing platform. And these are pretty simple use cases. So what I urge you to do here is to really focus on, why the heck should I need a website? And why should I, develop it in the longer run? And if you have, set in stone your why, then everything else is kind of technical, because like it's really simple. You just need the right resources and right goals to build it. And I'll just share a couple of stories with you. These stories are all real life stories. These are the use cases I have worked closely with, and we can kind of go over them later after this beautiful monologue as well. So to start off with Fractory, if you don't know these guys, I definitely recommend looking these guys up. They started out their startup road back in 2017. And what they do is pretty simple. They connect manufacturers with buyers, or engineers who need actually specific parts for their own business needs, basically. And when they turned to us, when we actually started working on their website, we pretty quickly understood that their website will be the gateway to their product. If you go to their website, you can see that they have a lot of information there, and so on and so on. But the point being is that they wanted to build trust, especially on the UK market, and also it's a gateway for real users to use their product pretty simple, and pretty simple why as well. Secondly, if you don't know who these guys are, again, really cool company. They started off even back in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. Their reason, their why was pretty much emotional, because like they had this kind of startup-ish vibe looking website already in place, but what they were really after was more like this kind of emotional feeling that, yeah, this is who we are. So therefore we really worked hard to kind of bring out this kind of feeling that they are kind of holding in their own company. And after we delivered this work, we didn't expect their sales to boost up or something like that. But what really happened was that they themselves turned much more, self-confident, and they could actually kind of, talk about themselves in a beautiful, thought-through way. So again, two different stories, two different whys, but for both of them, it made sense to actually work really deeply with the different elements of their website. So far, so good. Are you still with me, guys? I hope you are. So let's get a little bit more technical. This is just a little rehearsal. You can think about the components of the website, but I'll quickly make it easier for you. To start off with, like when you think about these elements, it's definitely easier said than done. When you think about text, yep, logical. You need to have some kind of information on the website that you can read and you can digest, so to speak. Images to illustrate the tone of voice and tone of photos. Cool. It gives some kind of, or it creates some kind of a, emotional vibe about the company. Again, colors. Jesus Christ, like everybody uses different kind of color blocking solutions and so on, which is totally fine. And fourth, animations. Sometimes it actually makes sense to use them to illustrate your product or your service. And finally, interactions, which is basically kind of every button and form you have on your website. So when you look at these little elements as a package, it's not that obvious. So let me explain. When you are working with the text, what I have seen in from my own experience is that usually when we start off with a website project, a lot of people tell us that, oh, come on, text, that should be easy, right? But when you really start working on the text, it turns out to be pretty difficult challenge, because you are determining in what way you are talking to your target audience. And obviously using text is kind of, or having text, it's the main communication tool to actually make sense of your product or the service. And obviously for the right audience, because you are most probably targeting a significant amount of people who come from a specific field. And if you are communicating in their language, then it's the best way to go. So just an illustration, or just an example regarding that. Here's a company called MINDTITAN. These guys are one of the first agencies to provide companies with AI services. So basically, they're like an agency of artificial intelligence. And when you think about this topic, it obviously raises a question like, how the heck are you going to talk about AI in a way that a regular company would understand it, and that the regular company would actually buy this kind of service? So definitely look these guys up and learn from their experience. Turn your attention to how they are writing their thoughts, their messages, and what is their kind of, yeah, I'm not calling it call to action, but something that drives people to really, fall in love with these guys. Again, it seems simple. It's a small task to be said, but when it's already on the work table, then it turns out to be pretty difficult. So definitely one thing to turn your mind to. So images, photos, and illustrations, definitely a chance to shine, to show your character. But again, always a technical questions arise like, okay, first of all, should I make or produce custom photos or illustrations, or should I just download stuff online? Well, the true answer is that both ways are okay. You need to think about your wallet. You need to think about your capabilities at the moment. But again, making these kind of choices is not as simple as it sounds. And my recommendation is to have someone look at the photos and really think through like what could be the strategy for these kind of elements. Cool example is Zelos. These guys are, well, they started off back in 2018, I think, so not too long time ago. But what they do is that they help different kind of organizations who deal with volunteers. And what we've seen is that organizers are really, hustling with time management and volunteering management. So their platform is a cool way to solve this pain. And if you look at their website, you will see beautiful handmade illustrations, and which are mixed with kind of, photos and all online stuff, illustrations. But it looks great in it, and it gives the right message and the right essence of the product and of the company. So, just to be fair with you, these illustrations were handmade, in our own house. But easily enough, like this can be done with the help of your own friends or with the help of your own team members. The point is that keep your eyes open and see if you can find any person to help you out with this task. So from there on, is coloring really that important? No, actually. But again, if you do research, if you put yourself, or if you try to position yourself as a company, and if you want to differentiate your product or your service from the competition, then coloring is one of the easiest way to distinguish yourself, because like it tells something different. It gives a user, a visitor of your website, different feeling. And obviously it tells something about yourself. So definitely use it. Just recently we worked with Estonian Statistics, which is obviously which is not a startup in any way. But these guys, if you think about statistics, it doesn't sound sexy, right? Not at all. Think about the numbers per se. Again, a difficult topic. You really need to think sharp. So what we did here was that we basically built a whole design system for these guys. The way how they present themselves as a brand, and also how people interact with their digital services. If you compare this solution to the old version, it's like day and night different. But again, there was a lot of choices made in the middle. So something to keep an eye on. So animations. Yes, oftentimes people ask like this kind of fun, or pop up with some kind of an idea that, hey, let's make an animation out of it. Yes, animations are cool, but they're not always worth it. But at the same time, if you really need to explain your business in a simple manner, I don't know, in 30 seconds time, because the service or the product isn't that obvious, then it could make sense to really, make this animation to explain it and share it with others. For example, this is again a Fractory animation. If you look at this, try to understand and think if you really get the point of this. Boom, done. 25 seconds or even less. I'm not going to make a big question or I'm not going to hear your thoughts right now, but basically think through, like, did it make sense? Did you get the point quickly? Did it make, did it make you feel that, yeah, I get what these guys are trying to do and what these guys are providing me with, basically. Last but not least, interactions. I know that Argo already told about call to action button and the basic point of it, but if you really think about your digital product, be it website or a real product, it really makes sense to figure out, like, what the heck are you asking from your visitor? Like, what do you want them to do? What is the user journey that you want them to guide through step by step by step by step? It can be as easy as, like having this kind of a one-pager and asking your email for, just to kind of collect interest. That's the easiest version of it. I made a small screen recording of HUUM website. These guys are actually producing sauna heaters, which are pretty smart, actually. You can turn these kind of heaters on with your mobile app and turn them off and play with the heat and stuff like that. So basically, just yesterday evening, I had not been on this website for a long time, but basically I tried to play through the main point, like how does it feel to be on this web page, and like how does it make me feel? So take a look. So that's it. So basically, when I went through this flow, I understood only later, a few seconds later, that this web page was specifically designed to go through, like guide me through from, choosing one specific product that I could potentially like, and this web page would guide me to the specific store where I can actually purchase it, because HUUM is not selling their products directly to the end users, and they are using this what's the word? Anyway, like they use this kind of distributors to sell the products on both stores and online. Okay, just to wrap things up, it really makes sense to kind of go over the main principles to, you know, set things in stone. And I think the first thing that you really have to find the cause for your website. It has to have this kind of a greater meaning and purpose, because like I know it's a hustle, definitely, but what I've seen recently and over the years is that startup-ish looking kind of look like websites, they are all the same. It's really difficult to understand like what is your kind of essence, or what is so special about you that you as a team, as a company are providing. So I really think that it makes sense to work harder on the cause, and hopefully it would have a better effect on you as well. What is more, I even recommend you know, moving ahead and before starting before you start developing or designing your website, make a sitemap. And sitemap is pretty simple. It actually is just using blocks of content to, you know, illustrate what your website is going to look like architecture and structure wise. This is pretty high-end structure already here, but it's just an example. In your case, when we think about these kind of one-pager website projects, much more simpler. But again, it helps you to figure out like, okay, what is it that I'm going to focus on in each block, basically. So it definitely gives you a heads up, it gives you efficiency, and it gives you clarity in terms of what you are trying to achieve. So yeah, do that. I definitely recommend that. I cannot emphasize enough, as I already talked about it, or as I mentioned, that you have to be very clear about what do you want your what do you want your web page users to do. Is it sign up? Is it lead generation? Is it info or content consumption? What is it? Like, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to purchase anything? Whatever. The point is that you have to be really clear about what you want them to do in communication and also design-wise. If you're not doing that well, you will learn it pretty hard way. But again, let's be realistic. It's still okay to make mistakes. I think that the learning point here is that you have to learn on the go and do your best, because yeah, anyways, you really have to push it to the sometimes you have to push yourself and your team to make it happen. And obviously, if you cannot do it, if you and your team can't do it, ask for help, ask for someone to help you out with. And just my simple recommendation is that don't settle with this kind of mediocrity, because like I'm seeing too much mediocre stuff around all of the place. So don't be this kind of gray mass type-ish looking thing. I would really urge you to push yourself to better results. And don't forget that your website tells a lot about yourself as well. Your commitment, your level of quality, and your mindset. Although we think that a website is just pixels and pictures and text and something like that, it's actually a reflection of yourself. And what is super important to understand here is that we are never, ever doing a website for ourselves. We are doing it for the target audience. You have to really keep in mind that you are not the verdict maker. Your end user is, and if he or she doesn't like it, yeah, you're gonna learn it pretty fast and in a hard way. But at the same time, you have to also remember that although the design may look perfect and you're pretty satisfied with everything you have accomplished so far, nothing really works 100% all of the time. but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't. This is a constant learning process, and you have to embrace it. You have to soak it in, and make sure that you just don't stop because like you couldn't find a better picture for your freaking hero block on your website. So yeah, keep pushing and keep going more forward, because you are the one who is actually doing the results, not your website. So thank you. I really hope you good luck. You can find a promo code under here, which is Prototron.